Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Urban, Indoor, and Emerging Agriculture Fiscal Year 2026 Notice of Funding Opportunity Technical Assistance webinar. Today, we're going to walk through the program and help you prepare for submitting a strong application. My name is Jessica Shade, and helping lead the program is Matt Naguagio. Our contact information is on the slide for anyone who may need to follow up after the webinar. Here is what we'll cover today. We're going to start with a brief overview of NIFA, then discuss the UIE program specifically. After that, we'll go through application details, documents, review the evaluation process, and provide tips for success. We're going to end with additional resources and then wrap it up. So first, a quick overview of NIFA. NIFA is the extramural science funding agency within the USDA Research, Education, and Economics mission area. The agency invests in programs that support the long-term viability of agriculture, and NIFA provides both funding and leadership so that research discoveries and innovations reach the people and the communities who can use them. So now let's look at the program specifically. The purpose of UIE is to support successful agricultural production in high population density settings, indoor and controlled environment systems, and other emerging production approaches. The program considers horticultural, social, and economic factors. Eligibility for this program is really broad. It includes state agricultural experiment stations, colleges and universities, research foundations, federal agencies, national laboratories, private organizations, individuals, and groups made up of any of those entities. Here is a snapshot of the project types and grant types that the program accepts. We only accept integrated project types, and we accept two types of grants, standard and workshop grants. I'm going to describe each of those on the next few slides. Integrated projects have to include research and at least one other component, education or extension. No single component can exceed 2/3 of the project, so the different components really need to be well integrated. And that means that you can't have a project that's just focused on research or a project that's just focused on education. You need to have research and education or extension. Grant types are different from project types. The grant types include standard grants of up to $500,000 and then workshop grants of up to $15,000. Workshop grants have to lead to tangible outputs, and they're expected to occur within 12 months of the award start date. I've already received several questions about this, so it's important to remember that funds cannot be used for construction, renovation, fixed equipment, meals, or compensation for injuries or property loss during the project. So make sure to review the general terms and conditions for guidance on this. But remember that if you want to build a greenhouse on your property or renovate an equipment storage facility, this is not the right grant to do that. There's no matching requirement for this program. All right, so now let's look at the details and documents needed for this particular grant. UIE was last offered in 2022. So it's been a few years and several elements have changed. So I recommend that you read the NOFO like it's an entirely new program, because you'll need to follow the guidance closely and make sure that your project fits in with the new focus. The application deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 27th, 2026. And you have to submit applications through grants.gov. The total funding that's available for the entire program is $4 million with a maximum award amount of $500,000 per project. Applications have to include key components, so things like a project summary, narrative, project timeline, logic model, bibliography, data management plan, mentoring plan, and letters of support. Look at pages 13 through 17 in the NOFO for more details and specifics on these components. Page limits and other formatting requirements for the project narrative are going to be strictly enforced. And if you exceed the page limits or don't follow the formatting requirements, your application could be returned without review. So please look at the NOFO carefully, follow the guidelines when it comes to formatting and page limits. Data management plans are also required in your application. Your data management plan should describe expected data types, formats, storage, preservation, sharing, and the roles of project personnel. Guidance is available on the NIFA website for preparing these plans if you need help. So you can always look at the NIFA website for additional information. All documents have to be submitted as PDFs. Grants.gov might allow you to upload other formats, but NIFA will only accept PDFs that aren't password protected specifically. So make sure that you submit your proposal as a PDF, and all applications have to be submitted electronically. So now I'll cover the application evaluation process. All applications get assigned to at least 3 reviewers who are experts in the field. Those reviewers produce written reviews, which are used to begin panel discussions with other reviewers who are serving on the peer review panel. And it's through those discussions that the review panelists come to a consensus around the final ranking of applications. I'd recommend looking at the evaluation criteria really closely because these are the exact metrics that your proposals are going to be evaluated on. There are 5 of them. Here I list the first 2. Project assessment, which looks at the soundness of the proposed methods, performance monitoring, plan of operation, logic model, expected products and results, metrics, targets for expected solutions or improvements, and results dissemination monitoring. The NOFO also lists some of the specific metrics that they're going to look at in this category. So take a look at the NOFO for more detail. The second evaluation criteria is the rationale and significance, which looks at the likelihood that a project will have an impact on developing and strengthening agricultural systems. And the primary factor for this metric is the degree to which the proposal clearly explains how the project will strengthen agricultural systems, how results will be adopted or applied, and the degree to which stakeholders or community organizations were involved. The third evaluation criteria focuses on the objectives and approach. So things like how well the objectives and outcomes are described, if stakeholders are included as critical team members, the feasibility of the approaches, the novelty of the project, etc. The fourth evaluation criteria looks at institutional capacity, division of labor, and the management plan. So are the roles of each person clearly defined? Does everyone have the expertise they need? Does the institution have the capacity needed? How well is the project management plan articulated, etc.? And then the final evaluation metric focuses on the budget, looking at how well the total budget supports the project and is it cost effective. From submission to award, the competitive process usually takes 9 to 12 months. We really appreciate your patience during the review and award cycle. I know that the waiting period can be stressful. All right, so now a few tips for success. Before you start writing your application, make sure to think about whether the program is the right fit for your project. You don't want to waste your time applying for the wrong project. And take a look at the NOFO really closely. Be familiar with all of the requirements and evaluation criteria. When it comes to your budget, make sure you have a strong justification because the reviewers will look at that to make sure that it's reasonable. We also suggest that you get input from your colleagues, have someone look at your proposal and provide suggestions for how to improve it. You can use tables and figures as long as they aren't too small and fit within the page limits. And make sure that you're writing in a way that would be understandable to a novice, but also make sense to an expert. Here's a checklist for planning your application because writing a proposal can be complex. First, make sure you have the right program. You also have to make sure that you have the right team to conduct the project. You're going to want to put together a timeline to help you plan things out and make sure that you have all the required forms, registrations, documents, etc. And there's no flexibility for late applications. So apply early so that you have plenty of time to navigate the system. You also might want to put together a checklist for the documents that will be required for the program. In addition to the written narrative, there are several other documents that you'll need to submit, so make sure you know what those are and the pieces you'll need to fill them out. So now some last bits of information for you. We have a variety of grant resources available on our website as well as grants.gov. Make sure to look at those so that you can create a complete and competitive application. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Matt. Here are our contacts again. And finally, this is USDA's non-discrimination statement. The full details and contact information are displayed here for anyone who needs them. So thank you all so much and reach out if you have any questions.